This is Chuck Huber, the voice of Android 17. You're listening to Anime Seekers. You better be, or I'm coming for you. Dragon of the Darkness, Flame!
Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Hey guys, I'm Hunter Dino. I'm your pink Dino Fury Power Ranger and your red Cosmic Fury Power Ranger, and you're listening to Toku Secrets Podcast.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin time! Link to the Morphin. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Spoken Silver.
I'm Patrick Allen, I'm Shinken Red.
And I'm Rizwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
And I'm Anthony Davis, also known as Curie Green. And we're Toku Secrets.
Yo, welcome everyone to the Toku Secrets podcast, presented by animesecrets.org. And today we have the whole crew on here again today to continue our review of Seijuu Sentai Gingaman. Last time we had a bit of a short podcast. When we took a look at Gingaman, we took a look at chapters 11 through 16. And one of the reasons why we had that shorter podcast is because, today we're taking a look at a very major story arc. So last podcast that we did on Gingaman was more of a calm before the storm type of thing. So I'm going to give a brief recap of what happened last time, because even though it was mostly filler episodes, there were some things that happened of substance. The big thing is that there's been a change of leadership on the Balban. Sam Bash, who was the field commander before, he was killed in battle in an attempted suicide attack with Ryoma. But the big thing is that before he died, he revealed information regarding a powerful energy source brought to Earth 3,000 years ago by someone that he killed. We don't know who that person is, but we're going to find out. Spoiler alert in this podcast. They're called the Gingalites, and he attempted to obtain those because he wanted to revive Titanics. After he died, Budo, that's Trecheron's counterpart from Lost Galaxy, he took over as the Balban's new general. He has his own army of sea creature like samurai monsters. Basically all of his whole mission is trying to obtain the Gingalites. Very important thing to note is that Ryoma briefly heard Hyuga's voice during his battle with Sam Bash. So he thinks that Hyuga might still be alive, although we don't know yet. And one other thing, and even though this isn't as important, it's still kind of a subplot thing. Goki met Yuta's teacher. Her name is Suzuko Mizusawa, and he fell in love with her. And that's actually going to play into one of these episodes. So, sorry, I love that subplot, so I had to give a shout out to that real quick. All right, so we're going to start off with Chapter 17, which is called True Courage. This is mostly a Ryoma-centric episode, but it most of it is filler up until the very end, where, we get an appearance of a mysterious character. We'll go into detail on who that is when we cover the next episode. But basically, this episode is all about Ryoma trying to teach Yuta the true meaning of being a warrior and being courageous while they're dragged into the middle of Budo's latest scheme. Now, the big thing that happens at the end of this episode is that Ryoma is trapped in a cave that houses the Monster of the Day's machine, and he can't escape, and the machine explodes and supposedly killed him. But when the other Gingamen arrive, a mysterious black armored warrior emerges from the cave, and he's carrying Ryoma. That's going to carry into the next episode. Kind of a weird thing to note about this, the Monster of the Day of this episode, he's a starfish monster. Technically, he appeared in Lost Galaxy, but in a really weird way. Ironically enough, it's the adaptation of the next episode, where there's a monster that's trying to dig up a rock, and Leo shows up and sees him and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then that monster, we don't see his body, we just see his shadow. The monster runs away and we never see him again. So that was apparently this monster. We only see him as a shadow. And apparently his name was Starcog because there's a deleted scene where Scorpius calls him Starcog that we see on the next time on Power Rangers Last Galaxy segment. So maybe he had a bigger role in the episode. I don't know, but that's just something to note. So what do we think about chapter 17, guys?
I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this. So, my complaint is mostly about Budo more than anything else. Is it just me, or does he just have some weird schemes and weird ideas on how to find the galactic light?
I just took it as that he knows how it. I just took it as that he knows how the lights of Ginga work. So he's just picking off the targets one by one.
But if he knew all these different tricks to find it, why did he wait 3,000 years?
Well, I mean, he's been
not worth it, or he didn't know that they were free.
Well, okay, first of all, the Balban had been sealed away and they've been trapped for 3,000 years. And not only that,
true.
but he wasn't allowed to begin operating until Sambash was killed, because remember, Captain Zahab made it clear only Sambash is allowed to do this, and of those 4 generals, Budo was probably the most likely to obey Zahab because he honors Zahab.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I get the idea that, like, there's oddities on, like, where the lights of Ginga are located, but I think it's just based on legends that, like, he recorded based on, like, ancient notes that he made. Yeah. So I think, I don't know, it makes sense in kind of a weird way. I mean, sometimes with stories like this in Sentai, they don't always make sense, but if you don't really think about it, like, too much, I mean, even some of the greatest Sentais of all time have things that don't make that much sense if you think about it too much. But
yeah,
I mean, this one works okay.
No, it definitely isn't a big deal. It's just something I started noticing around this point. Like, Buddha has some weird luck here with, like, just random things he's gonna find. And that'll become really prevalent in a couple episodes from now. That we
in our previous podcast, one of his ideas was that the lights of Ginga were in a camera. So
no, there's a couple that are worse, but we'll get there when we get there. But no, overall, I thought this episode was not bad. I liked the Yuta Ryoma bonding a lot because it gives us a chance to kind of let Ryoma kind of be his own character without being dragged down with the weight of his brother.
Yep.
Which, spoilers, becomes a big thing later on again. Yep. But so it's nice to see him be him and be able to mentor somebody who doesn't see him as a possible replacement to the great brother, like it was just nice to have that. And then obviously the entire Yuta trying to be strong and not understanding what it means to really be a warrior because he's still a kid. I thought that was all pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yuta's like he's probably one of the better side characters, like non-ranger side characters that we've had, especially for him being a kid, because most of the time Sentai makes kid characters really annoying. 90% of that is Zoo Ranger's fault.
Yeah.
But
there's the Zoo Ranger hate that we all know and love.
Yeah, you knew it was coming. But like just his role in the show, he's such a welcome addition to this cast.
I think my favorite part that I like, it's a little moment, is when Ryoma admits, like, just before he's about to go into the cave, he admits that he's afraid, but he's going to fight on anyway. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm currently watching Ni Ninja, where, is like one of several Sentais where the red is just this total Gary Stu airhead who has no fear in the world. It's just nice to see Reds that aren't portrayed perfectly. But yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, and Takaharu, I mean, I'm almost done with Knee Ninja, and Takaharu isn't as bad as I remember, but he's still pretty bad.
It's
And
so hot.
I know. So
You used to be thanking your lucky stars that you don't have to ever watch Knee Ninja.
The funny thing is, I can kind of tie this string of episodes back to Knee Ninja because Ninja's Theme Sentai, Hyuga's actor played Sasuke Ninja Red in Kaku Ranger, and he was a much better Red than Aka
there's a
Ninja.
Knee Ninja episode proving that.
Yeah.
Since he's in a Knee Ninja episode.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Isn't it like episode 8 or 9 or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
See,
we actually reviewed that one on the cast.
See, the only thing I've seen
Lord.
from that episode was the Henshin roll call because I got giddy hearing the Kaku Ranger Henshin theme again over it. And at the very end where they did their team motto, where the shinobi who don't hide, and Sasuke and Hurricane Red look at him and is like, "What do you mean you don't hide?" And I was like, "That sums up Knee Ninja, doesn't it?"
Yeah.
No, they really do not hide. Their entire motto is
And they're
being
not
as
ninjas.
flamboyant. No, they're not. They carry the word ninja, but to quote The Princess Bride, you are using this word, but I do not think you know what it means.
They're theoretical ninjas.
Right.
Ninja
Anthony,
wannabes.
You want to add anything about this episode, Anthony?
I did like the fact that Yuta was more useful in this episode. Like I don't hate Yuta at all. I think he's an awesome character. I mean, he's kind of supposed his dad a little bit, but I mean, what kid doesn't? That's my only gripe with him. Just a little tiny little gripe with him is the fact that he kind of like gets on his dad and it's just like, like don't hate the dad. Dad's a sweet guy.
His dad gets abused, man.
Yeah, he does.
Right.
What do we want to give 17 out of 10, guys?
I'm giving it an 8.
Yeah,
eight
this
for
is
me
an
too.
8.
I'm gonna give it an 8. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that episode was basically an appetizer because we're jumping right into the meat
go.
of this, in the next
Here we go.
Chapter 18, The Mysterious Black Knight. This formally introduces our new character. So he carries Ryuma out of the cave and he introduces himself to the Gingaman as Bull Black, the Black Knight. This is the Magna Defender's counterpart. So Black Knight is his ranger name, but Bull Black is like, his formal name, what he would be called, like, just nonchalantly on his homeworld. So for a lot of this episode, Ryuma suspects Bull Black may actually be Hyuga because while he was barely conscious, he felt as if he was being carried out of the cave by his brother when Bull Black was saving him. And Saya also learns from him that he heard Hyuga's voice because he kept that a secret from the other Gingamen. And they're hoping, hey, maybe Bull Black is Hyuga. But then they lose all hope for that after Bull Black reveals something about his backstory. And that's how we that actually leads us to this next note where at the end of the episode, it's revealed by Bull Black that he was the one who brought the Gingalites to Earth 3,000 years ago. He wanted to destroy the Balban. We don't know why he wants to destroy the Balban yet, but basically he wants to destroy them. And after he released them from the chest, this is the chest that Sambash was going after in the episode where he got killed. He got confronted by Sambash and revealed, I'm putting air quotes, revealed their hiding place. And then he got shot down and was sent flying into the earth. And he was there for 3,000 years, but now he's revived and he is going to retrieve the Gingalites and destroy the Balban. Now, before we talk about this, our thoughts on this episode, since we now get to see him in all of his glory, what do we think about the of Bull Black suit, the Black Knight suit?
It's good. Like, I usually don't like the bulkier Sentai costumes, like crap. What's his name from Bokenger? The sword.
Zuban?
Zuban, yeah. Yeah, like I
Zubon.
hate his design,
Zubon.
but
Yeah.
like I like Bull Black's suit a lot. It's the cape. The cape brings it together. If he didn't have a cape, if he
I
didn't
do
have a
too.
cape, his suit would look
Yeah.
stupid.
Oh, 100%. The cape
He
makes
would.
that suit.
And you can't hate the classic sword turns into a gun motive,
And I mean, even as a kid, like when I was a kid, I absolutely loved his suit. I always loved to try to pretend to be the Magnet Defender just because I always thought that suit was badass. I said in our first podcast, even as a kid, I was never a fan of the Lost Galaxy suits, but I always loved that Magnet Defender / Black Knight suit. What about you, Riz?
I even had the Magnet Defender Zord too.
Yeah. Riz, you wanted to add anything?
Yeah, I honestly want a full Sentai team of Black Knight's like Sentai team, like with that armor. I think that'd be really slick.
Yeah. Oh, that would be totally awesome.
Like that would make my day to have a whole team of them. But alas, we don't. We only have one. But I'm glad it's the black one because black is one of my favorite colors in terms of like Sentai and Power Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Just design wise, I like how they look.
But what do we think about the episode? Now that go ahead.
For the episode, it kind of struck me, and I feel like as we go through these episodes, we're gonna have more discussion on it. But even in this first episode, when he's telling Saya he heard Hyuga's voice, Saya's reaction was not that of a relief of a friend finding out that her friend's no longer dead. There's something more going on there, like a romance story, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really awesome that they're kind of interviewing that in. And it just makes for a stronger team overall when all things are said and done in like 10 episodes from now. Because it adds more character depth, which we didn't get for Lost Galaxy. I mean, we never had. I don't think we had a single romance in that season.
I mean, they were kind of trying with Leo and Gendrix, but then when Valerie Vernon had to leave the show, they kind of had to abandon it.
Yeah, but does that really count?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair. But what you're saying, to kind of jump off of what you're saying about the whole thing with Saya, like this is going to be kind of a recurring thing I say about this arc, but Gingaman is taking advantage for some legitimately emotional moments that I really don't think that Lost Galaxy like ever took advantage of, because like a huge chunk of this episode is like a huge chunk of this episode's runtime is Ryoma like thinking maybe this guy is Hyuga. I could be reunited with my brother, and we get a whole backstory with like Saya, thinking maybe I could be reunited with Hyuga too, and then there's like all that like gut-wrenching disappointment when they learn we're not going to be able to get back with Hyuga. And it's there in the Lost Galaxy episode, but it's briefly touched upon, and then at the end Leo was all like, oh, I thought he was my brother. Well, I guess I'm wrong. And then he walks away. Like it's
really
it's I don't know, like, and I've said a lot of great things about the Magnet Defender story arc, but spoiler alert, at the end of this podcast, that arc might have actually lost a lot of stock for me after watching this arc.
Yeah, I forgot how good this whole story arc really was.
Yeah. Same here, man.
I can't.
Huh?
I was gonna say I can't comment on the Lost Galaxy arc because I don't remember the Lost Galaxy arc.
And to kind of jump on that point, what I was about to say, I don't remember the Magnet Defender's first appearance in Lost Galaxy having the same kind of impact. Bull Black makes like gravitas when he like explains his story, and like even like his voice and how he talks and presents himself. He's kind of an intimidating figure on screen when he shows up.
He is, and I mean, that's kind of the beauty of the character is that he don't give no Fs. He's there to kick ass, take names, and get his shit done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that kind of character. Especially given the remaining characters in the season, like, I mean, they're not like the most high-strung character to me is Hayate, but even then, compared to Hayate, Black Knight got him beat in terms of like being like this broody, moody character. You know, like Hayate's at least got some comedy stuff going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
So him being the most serious character and being kind of like a rival to the team is really helpful to balance out. It's not really. I wouldn't call the main five goofy, but they do have a lot more lighthearted moments before this.
Yeah. They're very
And
family-esque when they're alone with each other, and
yeah,
but they get serious when they need to, and
yeah,
Bull Black kind of raises the stakes a little bit.
little bit.
And I've always been a fan of these kind of like third wild card type of characters. Like, look at the Frieza arc in Dragon Ball and Vegeta's role in that story. It makes the story a lot more interesting when you've got the good guys, the bad guys, and then this one douchebag who's just kind of intermingling with everything. It's entertaining when you got a character like
he's like the middle,
The difference I think between Vegeta and Black Knight is that Black Knight can honestly be somebody you don't like for the first couple of episodes. I mean, when you first watched this, however many years ago it was, to you three, did y'all like Black Knight in the first couple of episodes until you got to know him better?
Probably not.
Yeah, I actually don't remember my initial impressions of the guy.
Because my initial impression was, man, he's an asshole, but I like this kind of...
I think that was the intent.
Right, but that's the point, is that Vegeta, when you first meet him, yeah, he's meant to be an asshole, but is he really? I mean, the most he does is kill his friend, but
yeah,
I mean, other than that, he spends more time trying to get in with the good guys to try and sew them up. He's not really out to like rule the world or anything like that, you know? He's just trying to prove himself in the world. He's got more of that anti-hero story arc going than anything else, but Black Knight, he don't got any of that anti-hero stuff. He's straight up wanting to be... He could have been the villain. And honestly, if he was the villain, this season would rate a lot higher for me. Because the villains are so...
Yeah, I know.
Like,
yeah, that if we had to give Lost Galaxy 1 point over Gingaman, it's the villains.
Yeah, because there are points, I'll be honest with y'all.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That I zone out when the villains come on screen because it doesn't matter what they say. Nothing they say has any plot relevance.
No.
Yeah.
I do think that this story arc, and we'll get to a little bit later, does make them a little bit more interesting, but it's just kind of like, you guys are Jetman light. Like, you're not the Byram.
No.
You're not.
They
try to do some of that, like, interpersonal, like, sabotage rivalry stuff, but it never gets to the goodness that the Byram had.
Okay, but see, you gotta stop insulting Jetman. I don't...
I wouldn't go that far, Patrick, but I would say, like, their internal conflict is actually a little bit... It's not that much better than Jetman, but I still like it though.
It's enough to not make them complete snore fests, but that's like...
they were a snore fest to me. In dispatch. Like,
I mean, that's fair.
That's like my biggest complaint, to be honest with y'all, about Gingaman, is I can't stand watching these villains. Like, nothing they say, nothing they do has added any interest to me. The main interest I've had up until, what is it, 26, 27, whatever it is. The biggest reason I'm still hooked and loving it is because of the interaction with the 5 Gingamen, Black Knight, Yuta, and his dad.
And honestly,
Literally, that's the only reason.
that's what matters most.
But yeah, I'm honestly surprised that you still don't like the villains, even though the villains are going through all their turmoil of like
I
backstabbing
mean,
each other.
that's just routine stuff in Sentai, though.
Right, it's just
Yeah.
boring at this point. There's
That's
no
what I'm saying. Like, it happens.
At least when
Jet-
Senkinzer did it,
Mhm.
at least with Senkinzer, they built up a rivalry with the Red and one of their generals, right? But
Yeah, Juzo.
here, you don't
Yeah.
have anything like that.
Well, I mean, they try to pass off.
Oh, you actually will get a
Yeah,
rivalry.
And
they
you
do
have that
kind
in
of pass off a
Jetman
couple,
to a
but
degree.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, Jetman Black, he had a
Yeah.
huge rivalry with what's his face?
Gray.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
Black
mean,
Condor
you know,
and
he
Gray
had that.
Gray.
Yeah.
Marvelous and Bosco had their rivalry, and that made it more interesting because it made it more personal.
Mhm.
When you have them having their internal fights on the side, but there's no real stake being seen by the main team that's fighting them, I get bored.
Yeah.
Because
whenever,
it's
we
like,
get, whenever we get to
okay,
Mega
to give you an
Ranger,
example,
you're really gonna delve into this.
okay, so Anthony, to give you a better example,
Mhm.
while I find the Moon Crew versus the Messine Empire to be hilarious when they interact with each other, 90% of their interactions were boring because they had no impact on anything. Like, nobody knew what they were doing. Like,
I definitely agree with you on that because I honestly did not care about the Machine Empire, honestly.
I liked the Messine Empire. I thought they were fine villains. I like the Moon Crew. They're excellent villains for the most part, up until season 3. Then they get kind of goofy, but overall the Moon Crew is pretty awesome. But it's that rivalry that they build up with the Moon Crew versus the Messine Empire, and honestly, there's no like back and forth rivalry like, hey, I'm going to attack the Rangers and make them know that it's the Putties or it's Lord Zed this time and not the Messine Empire. There's no threat factor increase here. It's like internal stuff. It's like...
Yeah, because you have two villain factions and you're not even used to their
and I mean, the audio drama, because we will get to that at some point in the next month or two, I guess, because the first part of the finale has dropped as of this recording, meaning
that's awesome.
The second half of the finale is going to launch soon. I haven't listened to the first part yet because I'm waiting to binge part 1 and 2 together because I'm not waiting. I don't want to be in that state of waiting for like a month after. So, Carl, if you're listening, release part 2 so I can be happy. But the point is, mild spoilers for Nate and Anthony, but the Messine Empire and the Moon Crew, they butt heads a lot in the audio drama. It's very interesting because those guys are at each other's throats quite literally, and they're trying to one-up each other.
You know, you are aware that I've heard
no, but
the
I don't know
too, right?
I don't know if you're caught up to the most recent stuff.
I haven't watched the newest one that came out. I was waiting just like y'all.
So you probably know what I'm talking about then, with all the backstabbing and the wheeling and dealing and the fact that there's like a battle going on inside of the battle going on with the war going on. Yeah, so all of that stuff is going on, and there's real life impacts on the Ranger team. Like, they are feeling the impacts of the Messine Empire and the Moon Crew, and it's fantastic. Zio didn't have that. Gingaman doesn't really have that.
Indeed.
So that's my mini soapbox for the moment.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, like, would you rather have a Sentai? I mean, the reason why this is still ultimately better than Lost Galaxy, though, is because we have better main characters. Would you rather have a series that has like boring and not really interesting main characters but amazing villains, or vice versa?
You're misunderstanding my point. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay.
I'm saying I love Gingaman more than Lost Galaxy, but man, the villain scenes make me want to skip.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. That's literally all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything about Gingaman being bad or superior. subpar or anything like that. I'm just saying.
And you know, we all made it clear, like even the three of us who love Gingaman here, that we in no world will we say that these villains are better than the Lost Galaxy villains.
I'm not even going to compare them to Lost Galaxy. I'm going to compare them to other Sentais, and
Yeah,
of the Sentais I've seen, I mean, let's break it out real quick. I'll go through the Sentais we've seen. Jetman was awesome. Zero Ranger was awful. Geki Ranger's villain arcs were actually not that bad. It's just the main characters that really, really sucked.
Of course.
Gokaiser had fantastic villain writing with Bosco, but the main Empire stuff was really boring. Senkinzer had good villain writing in terms of, like, what's his name? Juzo,
yeah.
But again, the main army was kind of boring to me. But again, fantastic heroes, fantastic characters. So they get an A from me, or an S, or whatever. But, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
but
Sentai has never really been good at doing really good villains and really good Sentai until King Ozer, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Actually,
Nate, you've seen.
But what do we want to give
more
chapter
than any of us.
18 out of?
Is there
10, guys?
any other Sentai you can think of that's like, you know?
What were you saying, Riz?
I was saying, like, you've seen more Sentai than any of us. Is there any other Sentai that has villains and heroes that are both at the same level of writing, like King Ozer?
I mean, not as far as I can remember. I mean, because I would have to rewatch a lot of the Sentai.
See, the fact that you're thinking about it so much.
Yeah.
I think
Hero Major might be a second runner up.
Nate, you can maybe back me up on this one, Nate, but I think not to the extent of King Oger, but I think Kaku Ranger is a good one to offer, because I thought Gasha Skull was a really good villain.
Yeah, the Kaku Ranger villains were pretty entertaining.
Yeah, like Daimao was very was very proactive, and Gasha Skull was genuinely terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we want to give chapter 18 out of 10, guys?
9, just for the good.
Went off track a little
yeah,
bit.
we really did. But for like the first episode
9.
of a major story arc, it's a 9 because it sets up everything great.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm giving it a 9 too.
A 9.
All right, let's move on to chapter 19, The Vengeful Night. This episode is very similar to the Lost Galaxy episode, although there's one huge difference between that and this that I'm going to bring up when I give my thoughts on it, in a bad way for Lost Galaxy, by the way. So pretty much this episode, we learn about Bull Black's backstory. I'll tell you that in a second, but pretty much this is the episode where, you know, we really learn that he and the Gingaman are not friends at all. So basically in the flashback, it's revealed that many years ago, the Balban attacked Bull Black's homeworld. It was called Taurus, and Bull Black tried to stand against them, and they took his little brother, Kranz, hostage. And when Kranz was trying to fight off Captain Zahab, he got killed. And Bull Black became overcome with grief and anger over his little brother's death, and basically swore vengeance no matter what the cost. The plot of this is basically that the monster that Budo unleashes in this episode was the one who held Kranz hostage, so it's kind of personal for Bull Black. And as he's trying to destroy the monster, he's constantly putting the lives of innocent people. Like, basically, like, at one point he shoots his blaster at the monster while there's innocent people in his line of fire, and he clearly doesn't care. Couple of other notable things. We see a couple of monsters from previous episodes in the flashback, like Sam Bash's Cole Scheiser monster that was in Chapter 2, Tag Redder, seen in Chapters 6 and 7, the Mantis monster Mandiger from Chapter 9, And then for some reason, we also see one of Eyeless's monsters, Meadow, from Chapter 2, and she's also going to appear in another episode of his patch. Big development here is that Bull Black summons his heavy star beast Go Taurus. That's his personal bull-like star beast. He arrives on Earth. In this episode, Go Taurus can transform Bull Black into the Heavy Knight, which is a giant red version of him. By the way, Go Taurus was called Torazord in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. And Heavy Knight can ride Go Taurus, and they can also combine to form Bull Taurus. Defender Torazord from Lost Galaxy. So, what do we think of episode 19, guys?
Oh boy. As someone who is an older brother, I sympathize.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
really
same here.
sympathize. Like, even though I agree with Ryoma that him being careless of other civilians, which I don't remember the Magna Defender having that element to his character in Lost Galaxy, where he didn't care about other.
He did the same
I don't
thing.
remember.
It was just vaguely touched upon, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
here we actually see him not give a single crap. He was like, "I'm gonna gun down people." It's like that. It's like that scene from DBZ Abridged where Vegeta was fighting 18, and he was like, I will kill as many people as possible as long as you are one of them." he's basically doing that, and it's yeah, this backstory for him hits way harder here than it did in Gingaman. I mean, in Lost Galaxy. Like, actually seeing his brother get cut, that. Ouch.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
was
was
about to
brutal.
say it's way more gruesome of a death than it is in Lost Galaxy, where like Zeka's just charging at Scorpius, and then Scorpius just shoots like one lightning at him and zaps him, and then that kills him. But here, like, I know,
I'm sorry.
here Zahab like cuts the guy in half practically. It's very gruesome.
It shouldn't be that funny though.
I mean, it also adds this really cool thing where he's using his brother's like dagger as like a calling card, which is actually kind of cool and unsettling at the same time. But it's, man, this episode was good, man.
And just a huge thing I want to say that I love about this episode, and I know this is a big thing to nitpick on, but here's an annoying thing about the Lost Galaxy episode. The Lost Galaxy episode version is way too dependent on that flashback. We see the full thing at the beginning, then we see it again. They play it a lot when the monster is holding the little girl hostage, and then they decide to play it again when the Magna Defender is explaining everything that happened to the Rangers at the very end of the episode, and it's all like, you are aware that we saw the whole thing at the beginning. Like, at least with this episode, they use it a bit more appropriately. Like when the monster is holding the little girl hostage, Black Knight, he thinks back briefly, and we see like a very brief, like 2-second snippet of him holding Kranz hostage to remember, oh, this is just like that moment. But the Lost Galaxy episode has to play the whole goddamn thing over again. I'm glad that.
Did you know that this is even like the only time that they use the flashback? I think I've seen Zeka die in Lost Galaxy more than I see him die in Gingaman.
But
Lost Galaxy had a real bad addiction of showing us that when we didn't need to see it that much. I don't know. I don't know what the editor or the director was thinking with that in Lost Galaxy, but
what I
yes, kill that child again. What again? Like, we just killed him already. Like, do it again.
You know why this episode doesn't need to be dependent on that flashback? Because this episode instead uses runtime. Well, okay, first of all, unlike in the Lost Galaxy episode where Magna Defender tells Leo and the others what happened at the very end, here Bull Black tells them that he lost his brother like kind of at the beginning of the episode after their first battle with that monster. And then they use that to kind of touch upon a legitimately emotional thing, because here's the thing, the Gingaman and Bull Black, they're kind of the same. They both lost their homes and their loved ones at the hands of the Balban. It's just the Gingaman are still holding on to this idea that protecting people come first. Bull Black has basically completely surrendered to his vengeful instincts and is just saying, no, screw everything. I want to kill the Balban, screw everybody else. And I like how the episode does touch upon that emotion, because in the Lost Galaxy episode, they just kind of delve into it a little bit. This episode actually does take some time to like really dig deep into like those emotional similarities between these two characters. But well, between our main characters and this anti-hero person. Riz, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was going to say this episode further cemented what I said at the start of this podcast, that Black Knight give no Fs. He is here to kick ass, take names, to be a complete and utter asshole, and I love it. Because you're designed to dislike him, and he makes you want to dislike him, and he makes you want to root for the good guys to beat him, because he's just that despicable in this episode, like in the way he's treating civilian life. And I get like why. Like he has a compelling backstory as well, because like Patrick said, the loss of a younger sibling, that's a big deal. I'm an only child, but I can only imagine what it feels like, and that doesn't sound like it feels good. So, mentally, psychologically not being there mentally enough to realize this is not a good thing I'm doing, that's a strong motivator to show an imbalance of a character, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to add anything, Anthony?
It just goes to show you that revenge will get you far if you want it bad enough.
Before we give our rating of this,
Whether you want it, whether people agree with it or not. I'm sorry. I thought I meant to stop. I don't know why I stopped for a second. I was just like trying to contemplate what else to say. Like overall, like I do sympathize with Black Knight, but the way he's doing it, it just seems you just don't. You agree to an extent, but it's like you don't need to be hurting
Yeah, like
other
the
people.
phrase is, there's a right way to do the wrong thing and a wrong way to do the right thing. And
he's doing the wrong,
exactly.
right thing in the
wrong way, exactly.
Before we give our final rating on this episode, what do we think of, since this is its big debut, what do we think of Black Knight's mech, Bull Taurus?
I like
it's
it.
way better than the other Bull Zord I have memory of.
What? Which one was that?
The Zar origami.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Nathan knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, what's
Star Ninja?
What his mech's a bull also?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got this mech is.
It's a bull motorcycle something.
Jesus Christ.
This mech is always going to have a special place in my heart because, remember I grew up with Lost Galaxy. This was actually the first Megazord toy that I ever owned as a kid, like the first big one that could transform. So I'm always going to have a soft spot for it because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Same.
And I know Bull Black is not technically considered a Sixth Ranger, but I mean, let's be honest, he's a Sixth Ranger. Well, at least when, later on, this is probably the first Sixth Ranger mech that I remember that was able to regularly destroy monsters by itself. Because I know, the first time I remember a Sixth Ranger mech destroying a monster by itself was whatever Pyramidas was called in O Ranger. It did
Great
once.
Pyramider.
Yeah, Pyramider.
I hate that name, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
it does sound
but I don't I already talked about how the Dragon Caesar never destroyed one by itself. I don't think Juan Tiger did either, and I don't think the Mega Winger did. I don't think the Mega Winger did either.
Didn't the Mega Winger beat Red Ugande near the end of the season?
Maybe, but
no,
he didn't. I can't remember.
He didn't.
Okay.
No.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, like, 'cause this one destroys at least, I mean, it destroys quite a few monsters in this series. So it's the first sixth Ranger mech to regularly destroy monsters by itself,
And
and
it does
that's
so
pretty
by going
badass.
full Beyblade, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what do we want to give 19 out of 10, guys?
9.
Yeah, this is a 9
I'm
for
going with a
me.
9.
9.
All right, cool. Next up, we have a kind of a filler episode, although not really. Chapter 20, the one-man battle, Ryoma-centric episode. Pretty much, it's another episode that's basically a cop where the Lost Galaxy episode copied it. Pretty much, the latest Balban scheme, monster comes out and freezes everything, putting people to sleep. Ryoma survives because of his firepower, which repels the ice, preventing him from being frozen. We get a little bit of villain infighting at the beginning of this episode because Bukrates, basically he gets angry that Budo humiliated him because he tried to show him a scroll he found regarding the Gingalites, but Budo says, "Oh, those were just notes that I took that are now useless," and he decides, okay, well, I hate you now because you're arrogant. So he and Eyeless, remember, Eyeless is his niece. They're trying to conspire to undermine him. Other notable thing is that the footage of Ryoma battling the monster on horseback, it actually got adapted directly into the Lost Galaxy episode. The explanation being that Leo tamed a horse and then morphed on it, and it just magically gets this armor. And funnily enough, they actually took the footage, like when Leo morphs, they take the footage of Ryoma transforming while on his horse, and you can see Ryoma for like one very split second in that episode if you watch it. But yeah, that's about it for the notes. What do we think about chapter 20, guys?
As far as like character-driven stories episodes go, this is one of the better ones that we have, which is a stark contrast to some of the other ones we're going to get in this arc. I definitely like the
Yeah.
Ryoma story arcs when we get them, because to me he just seems like the most fascinating of the group because he has so many things going on inside him that are all vying for his attention to kind of process, but he can't do any of it because he's also dealing with the monster of the week and being a, what do you call it, like a ranch hand or something at the farm.
Like a riding instructor.
Yeah, so he's doing all that stuff, and then he has to like, help Yuta with whatever Yuta's got going on, type stuff. So I mean, he never gets a chance to really process. So it's nice to see him kind of build character through things like this, where he has to fight on his own because his team's all frozen, and while the concept of what Budo has to do is kind of not a fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good moment for Ryoma as well.
Yeah, I think the bit to kind of go off of what you're saying, like, well, first of all, I really like how this is taking full advantage of like a sort of rivalry that he has with Bull Black, because Lost Galaxy tried to do it but didn't really do it. Like, this works perfectly for Ryoma's arc because since the beginning of the series, he's always lacked confidence in his ability to be as good of a Gingaman as Hyuga, thinking he's not as good as Hyuga and he's not as strong. And you could probably argue that that he was kind of starting to gain confidence, but then here comes Bull Black, who, just like Ryoma, has lost his brother to the Balban, and Bull Black is saying, "No, you're not strong enough. You're pathetic. You're never going to be able to defeat the Balban because you're too idealistic and you're naive, and that's just how it is. Sorry, but you're pathetic." And what I especially love about this episode is that this episode kind of doubles down on the idea of like trying to make Ryoma not feel all that strong, because believe it or not, he doesn't destroy the monster by himself. He needs Bull Black to bail him out and destroy the monster. And that, to me, is putting Ryuma's self-confidence to the ultimate test. And what I love about it is that Ryoma still doubles down. Like, I'm never going to be like Bull Black. I'm going to stay true to my values. Despite the fact that this episode is literally saying, hey, you kind of are, like, you are weak, Ryoma. You needed this guy to bail you out when you were all by yourself. So that is just amazing writing. And again, it's episodes like this that really just make me kind of see that maybe the Magna Defender story arc isn't as great as I thought it was, because this episode is taking full advantage of a great dynamic that could exist between Ryoma and Bull Black. They're taking full advantage of it. Like, this is like S+ tier writing, in all honesty.
Oh yeah, big facts.
Did you want to add something, Patrick?
No, you guys took the words right out of my mouth.
What I was gonna say was that, like, I was like you, Nathan. I was like, as a kid, as soon as I kept watching the show, I was just like, dang, they really are making guys a little bad.
Yeah. And also, I love I know this is kind of a weird thing to harp on, but the explanation on how Ryoma is able to survive the monster's ice powers makes so much more sense. Like, he has fire power, which resists ice. It made absolutely no sense in the Lost Galaxy episode. Like, apparently the monster, like, shot a blast at Leo and his dog tags, like, blocked the shot. And it's like, okay, but shouldn't he still be getting cold and get frozen?
He got shot in the neck, though.
I don't get that.
The thing, though, is that what's really weird, though, Nate, if you go back, he actually got shot in the neck. Where if you're referring to the dog tags would have to be below his neck, which would be on this, like, up above his chest, which is not where he got hit at. He got hit straight in the neck. So I don't know why it's referring to dog tags.
Yeah, that was just stupid.
And also, he's already morphed. So when the dog tags not be materialized in his suit, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't. But yeah, I feel tempted to almost give this episode a 10 just because of how well it furthers Ryoma's art, but I'm probably going to go with a 9.5 because I'm saving my 10 for another later episode in this batch.
Yeah, same. I'm same here. I'm giving this a 9 for that very reason. I got a 10 and I'm holding on to it.
Yeah, I'm going with 9.
Anthony?
I'm definitely give it a 9. I was gonna give it an 8, a 10, but I was like, nah, I'll give it a 9.
Okay, cool. Okay, so after all that big stuff, we get one episode where we can breathe just a little bit in this filler episode. Chapter 21, the Tomatoes Trial, basically a Goki and a Hayate-centric filler. Basically, in this episode, Hayate gets poisoned with something from one of Budo's monsters of the day, and he needs to eat tomatoes in order to cure himself, but unfortunately, he does not like tomatoes, and Goki is trying to help him get over his fear of tomatoes. Two notable things. Suzuko is back. Goki meets Suzuko again because, they're with Yuta to the beach for his summer vacation. But, he's still acting shy. At one point, the guys are like, where Goki is trying to, like, talk with Suzuko and, like, confess something, and everybody's all like, yes, Goki, do it. And then he says something that's not that, and then everybody's like, God damn it, Goki, damn it. I love that part. And then there's this scene also establishes Bull Black only appears in this episode for like 2 minutes, but he gets into a fight with Budo, and he gets forced to retreat because he starts to feel a mysterious pain in his chest. We'll find out more about that in the course of the next couple of episodes. But what do we think about 21, guys?
I want Anthony to go first.
Go ahead.
Honestly, this episode really, like, why? What is it with Hayate and what is it about these filler episodes and always having Hayate have this disdain for certain foods in some of these episodes. First it was the honey, which they did refer to, and now it's the tomatoes. And then like they didn't even give us a full valid reason of why he was like tomatoes. And he was acting very stupid in this episode. I want to say he's being very freaking stupid in this episode. Like we are literally about to die and defeat this Balban monster, and you're sitting here, you're getting like you're that upset about not eating a tomato. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like it baffles my mind, honestly.
Yeah, building off of that, this is when I started texting Nate a little bit during the episode watch. Because I was like, okay, hold up, Nate. What is the point of this episode? Like, why do we need this? And
There is no
there's
point.
no point on the surface level for why you need this. Hayate doesn't get anything from it that's positive. He just gets kind of stupid for no reason. You get one good thing is that you start to see the beginning of like a problem with Bull Black and is obsessed, but that could have been done anyway, anyhow. Didn't have to be this specific story or anything. But like, if you dig a little deeper than what you've gone through, you kind of see a good story arc for my man Goki.
Thank you.
And
I was hoping you'd hit this.
Yeah.
And Goki had a lot of good moments in here with, his team painting on his face.
Poor guy.
His team spying on him, trying to talk to his girl. Him being a complete idiot talking to his girl. Like, why did he have to say, I love tomatoes, instead of saying, yo, girl, I love you. What's up? You want some of this Goki? Because I'm ready to give you some.
Goki is anything but smooth.
So, I mean, Goki made this episode, I'm going to use the word tolerable here. Because the Goki stuff was really good, and it helped off-balance the really bad Hayate stuff, but it doesn't fully get rid of some of my complaints that I had about the episode. Because, dear God, this is such a sort of watch.
Yeah.
This episode kind of stuck with me because I too hate tomatoes, so I understood his pain.
I mean, okay, but like,
but I mean, the concept of the plot is pretty stupid. I will agree with that. That him being
it is.
Hayate is supposed to be the most mature of the five, but he is acting very childishly stubborn in this episode, and it kind of goes against his character a little bit.
It's like he's like Haru took over his body for a day or something.
Kind of. And then, don't get me started on the villains in this episode. In Bull Black, actually, they all acted stupid. Because all the hint Budo got was a red spherical object. And they all got a tomato. I'm like, okay.
I know, I was like, apples, kickballs, the
like
front of Target.
Cricket ball.
This is probably the stupidest of Budo's little schemes.
You can definitely go after that, please. For my sake, go after that.
I understand Budo and the pirate crew being stupid about it, but making Bull Black also stupid about it, that was a thought too far, man.
I mean, this episode can be summed up with him stopping a delivery truck, and then he just guns down tomatoes laying in the street.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something visually funny about that.
So dumb.
But still, I mean,
it's like we know Lost Galaxy has that dumb thing, but at least in Lost Galaxy, it had this episode, thankfully.
Yeah, they never adapted this. Well, I mean, they used the Monster of the Day suit for like one episode in all original footage, which was like an episode where by that point Trakina's taken over. But watch me. No. I think they took the mech fight from this episode. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna agree with Riz. Like, I mean, yeah, this episode is kind of stupid, but honestly, Goki kind of makes me like it in a really bizarre type of way. Like, I don't know, like Goki's moments in this episode prevent me from hating this episode.
Yeah.
See, I agree with everything you're saying, Nate.
Yeah.
My number I'm going to give this episode will not agree with it, though.
I mean, it's fair.
Like, I like the Goki part a lot, but I still can't justify going any higher to what I'm going to tell you guys I'm going to go with.
Okay.
Are you guys ready to do scores? Anything else to add on?
No, I'm done.
Yeah, we got a lot of more substantive stuff in these next couple of episodes, so we shouldn't spend
Yeah.
too much more time with this episode.
I'm going to drop a 4 on this guy.
Ouch.
I'm gonna go with the 6, just because I don't know. I mean, I love the character of Goki.
I
but...
was going to do a 6 up until I started thinking about the fact that it wasn't just Hayate being stupid. It was also the villains and also Bull Black. And when they made Bull Black stupid, that's when I got mad.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll give it a 7. I like this episode was stupid, but it didn't bother me as much as it bothers you.
Well, I also get more agitated at stuff quicker than you, I think.
Yeah,
what about
you're a lot more of a harsh critic than I am sometimes, so it makes sense.
What about you, Anthony?
I'm only a harsh critic when you give me bad material, which is this episode. A 3.
Oh dang, he hates it more than Riz. Oh man,
You've been one up.
He had to one up me. Can I change my score to a 2 now just to spite Anthony?
No. Come on, guys, let's not do that.
I might go to a 1 then. It's gonna be like that.
You know what? I'm going to a negative infinity times a negative infinity plus a negative infinity.
I'm lowering my score out of spite.
Is it what's is there a black hole that's infinitely like more? That kind of be like a black hole company that.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. After watching all those Geo Ranger episodes, you can't make the case that this episode is any worse than some of those.
No, it's not, because Geki Ranger exists.
Yeah.
No, we're poking fun at it.
Again, I would prefer to watch Zero Ranger over Geki Ranger, so your point stands. There's stuff worse than this out there.
Anyway, let's move on to chapter 22, Appearance of Light. This is a Saya and Hikaru-centric episode, but it's also the beginning of a 2-part episode revolving around the lights of Ginga. Most of this episode is that Saya and Hikaru, they get into a fight because Hikaru ate a cake that Saya made for Hyuga's birthday, and she gets really angry because of how he didn't ask, and they get trapped inside an invisible wall as part of Budo's final plan to obtain the Ginga lights. Bull Black only appears briefly here again. He starts to suffer pain attacks, and it's more severe this time. And at the end of this episode, while the Gingaman are in a battle with the most powerful of Budo's monsters, Doto Musha, the Ginga lights, they finally appear. They were... this time they were rumored to be hidden in an underground hot spring, and they actually appear from here. And basically, everyone starts chasing the Ginga lights, and that's how the episode ends. So, what do we think about chapter 22, guys? Anybody can go first.
I was expecting Riz to start talking.
I thought you were going to start talking first, but
me too.
I guess I'll go first, given you're all expecting me to talk first. I liked the Saya Hikaru feuding a lot, because I don't know if I missed something earlier, but I didn't know that they were younger than the rest of the group, and young enough to have been babysat by the older people. So that was interesting information I didn't have before. And maybe that's just something I missed. I don't know. But yeah, other than that, again, Budo's plans are just meh. Like, I'm just ready for Budo to die.
Dang, what do you do to
He's
you?
just
Like,
boring. And he's stupid. I mean, every single plot he's come up with has been so off the wall random. And like, come on, man, do something evil. Don't do something because you think this will maybe possibly on the off chance unlock the Ginga lights or the galactic lights as I call them. Like, I don't know. Budo just bugs me as a villain. I can't get along with him. I think there are better generals to compare.
I think you and what's his name? Illis's uncle can definitely agree with
Who
that.
is
Talking about
uncle?
Bucrates.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Bucrates.
Bucrates is Hylas's uncle. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think the big detail what I love about this episode is how like I don't know, I just love how Miss Batch is kind of low key, kind of establishing more of like a little romance between Saya and Hyuga because she made a birthday cake for Hyuga, and when Hikaru eats it, she gets particularly frustrated because in the Lost Galaxy episode, it's pretty much the same plot except Kendricks was making a birthday cake for Damon, which I mean, okay, it shows that
Yeah,
yeah,
it was Damon's
she.
birthday.
I mean, okay, Kendricks really cares about Damon, so it makes sense for her to get more frustrated. But it seems a bit more like deeper and a bit personal that because I mean, 2 episodes ago they did kind of establish that Saya kind of has a thing for Hyuga, so kind of makes sense that she would get really frustrated over Hikaru eating something that she considers a very special occasion. Patrick, you want to add anything?
I love how this dome could be destroyed by pulling a plastic zipper.
Wait, what do you mean?
The dome that he built around the city. How they're like, oh, you need to meet at the conjunction point or whatever, and it was just like a plastic zipper holding the wall together.
Oh yeah,
Was
I
it?
thought it was.
yeah.
It looked like a glass
Remind me again.
casing.
Was it in this episode or in 23 when um they try and destroy the wall and
It's
It
this
was it was this
episode.
episode.
and the Gigaman have to stop him from doing so?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
how
again,
Bull Black was like, I'm gonna destroy that. Hey, stop that! You're gonna kill people. Lol, no.
I don't care. I don't care.
like honestly, he should have
Who
just
everybody
taken over the
is.
villains and been like the main villain for the rest of the season.
Yeah. But what do we want to
Mm.
give 22 out of 10? I'm giving.
8.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
an 8. It's
yeah, I
not
want
that
to give it
good.
an A too because I thought that Hikaru and Saya's little was cool.
Yeah, it's 8.
No, Hikaru and Saya stuff is really great, but
Yeah, it's
it's
an 8
not
for me.
enough to make it anything higher.
But I will say this though is that like this I'm starting to remember why I didn't like Hikaru at first because this episode kind of made rubbed me the wrong way about
Yeah.
him. Not he's still a good character. It's just that this episode particularly kind of made him more of a
Yeah.
douche for no reason. And just like, dude, like don't eat stuff that ain't that's yours. Like like relax.
Yeah, that episode might have been fresh on my mind too.
And you know what? Yeah, y'all might disagree with me on this one, and it's perfectly fine if you do. I just want to say this for me. I honestly think that Lost Galaxy, while I understand the situation of how they handled it, was better because this with stuff with Saya, I get that, but I feel like emotionally they do it. Like no, not emotionally. I feel like they did it character wise, making sense for Maya to do what she did as opposed to what Karu did. If that makes sense,
I'll give you that.
because because with Maya, she was born, in a planet that's kind of like a jungle based, I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's more
Yeah.
nature bound, and she, basically like grew up, with like in a village, like they wore like it's not native. I want to say it's like more. I'm trying to think of the word what to say, like it because I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying they dress, any kind of way. It's just a specific word I'm trying to think of. Um, they weren't modern. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
that's fair.
So it makes sense for her to be like, well, I mean, if it's cake, because she don't know like what birthdays and stuff like that. She don't know what birthday cakes are. She just happened to see a cake. She's like, oh, cake, and
Yeah,
ate
that's
it. Like, it's. I'm pretty sure. If she had told, if like Kendricks had left a note or like told her, hey, said advance, hey, I'm gonna get a cake for Damon. Don't eat it, please. I'm sure she would understand. She would have ate the cake.
yeah, that's fair. But I mean, the dynamic between Hikaru and Saya was handled a bit better though, as opposed to like Kendricks and Maya.
I just feel that they kind of just did that as like like girls arguing over stuff. That's the
Yeah.
way I saw it. I'd say specifically for Maya, specifically only can get away with that, but I feel like the whole entire plot was done better in Gingaman
Yep.
still. Yeah. We can move on
All right,
now.
let's move on to chapter 23, Into the Contest. This is the end of the two-part battle for the Lights of Ginga. Pretty much, this whole episode is just an all-out battle between the Balban, Bull Black, and the Gingamen to try and get the Lights of Ginga. Dodo Musha successfully captures the Ginga Lights, and Bucrates and Elis, they're desperate to make sure that Buddha doesn't get any credit for capturing the lights. So she dispatches one of her monsters, who's also apparently her daughter, if the subs are to be believed, Meadow, this Medusa-like monster. She disguises herself as Buddha and tells Dodomusha to absorb the Ginga lights to destroy the Ginga Man. And because it looks like his monster stole the lights for himself, Budo gets branded a traitor and gets locked up to be executed. We get a series of skirmishes between the Gingaman and the powered up Dodomusha, but then Meadow reveals herself and she threatens to take the lights away, but then Bull Black intervenes. He scared us off, Meadow, and then overpowers Dodomusha, releasing the Ginga lights, and he tries to take them. And as he's trying to do that, the Gingamen. So there was a scene earlier where Dodomusha is like just going whole like scorched earth, just like setting the entire earth on fire and just destroying everything. And the Gingamen are like completely horrified at what the Lights of Ginga are able to do. And it's here that they say, no, we don't want this power. I mean, this power is like so destructive; it could destroy the whole world. We don't want it. So they decide we would rather destroy these lights so that no one can have them than us have that power. And so they're ready to use their Ginga Beast Blasters to destroy them. But then that results in the Ginga lights choosing the Ginga Man as their bearers, basically as a kind of thing where it's like, you don't want the power, therefore you're worthy to have it. We want to be a power to protect life. So with that, the Ginga Men obtain the Ginga lights for themselves, and they don the radiant armor, golden armor. And fun fact, this is the very first full team power up Super Rangers form in Super Sentai history, at least in the series proper, because the Mega Rangers had like this golden armor, chest armor that appeared in the Mega Ranger versus Car Ranger movie, and I guess technically the first Super Ranger was the Dragon Shield thing that the Red Ranger could use, but again, that was only just like one Ranger. So this is like the first full team power up mode, and we'll talk about our thoughts on that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about what we thought about this episode as a whole.
I mean, seeing how this has basically been built up to for a while, having it as a pretty back and forth climatic battle that ends with the lights choosing their hosts was a pretty satisfying end to this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can really say about it.
No, I absolutely love the scene where I absolutely love the scene where the lights do choose them, because in Lost Galaxy it's just kind of briefly touched upon. Like Magna Defender says, "Oh, I'm gonna get the lights and I'm gonna have my revenge," ha 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 ha, and then the Rangers are all like, no, we can't let him have it. Let's just destroy these lights. And then the lights shine above him, and it's like, oh, okay, the lights of Orion can only be used for good, so they want to give us their power. And it's like, well, okay, if they can only be used for good, then why could Trecheron's monster use those powers in the first place?
Yeah, I know, right?
But here,
the whole like, because I mean, it's kind of implied that the lights are like naturistic in a sense, so I guess they sympathize with the Gingaman's desire to, protect nature and a planet, which, given Bull Black's description of them, that was their original intent to be used. So, yeah, they don't see Bull Black as worthy anymore, so it chooses the Gingaman. It's a very fitting thing of rewarding the characters for sticking true to themselves when they've been put through kind of like a moral test with Bull Black, like questioning, Ryoma's approach to the entire Balban situation.
Yeah.
Like,
and
Bull Black gets slapped in the face saying, "Wait a minute, my ideals are wrong." No, how?
and I don't know. There's just something like really like this might be one of my favorite like episodes where like the Rangers get like a new power up ever, like in both Power Rangers and Super Sentai, because we already talked about how it just didn't feel completely earned with like the Super Geki Ranger thing. This is like a full team thing where it's all like we get like an entire scene where they're able to see just how destructive this power is, and there's just something so powerful about them not wanting that power for themselves. They would rather destroy it than let anybody else have it. Like, that's just super powerful writing there. And for it to be like the first, for this to be like the first like full team Super Ranger thing power up, like this is setting the bar pretty high. Like Patrick, you were saying how like Gingayo is like the definitive way to like introduce a mech. For me, this type of writing is like an ideal way to like introduce a power up for him. And there's not, I mean, there are some good Sentais that introduce power up forms in Super Sentai after this, but this one, like the way that like that big powerful moment where they obtain the Ginga lights, and then you got the theme song playing while they use them for the first time.
Yeah,
and take out the monster. That again, that hasn't been topped in Sentai since, in my opinion.
No.
Riz, did you want to add anything?
Oh yeah, big facts.
No, I think y'all covered it pretty well overall.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to add that like it's granted this wasn't how Sentai was at the time, but I can still appreciate this given how I'm watching Ninja right now. Like I appreciate how all the things like everyone, it seems like a team earned thing when they get the lights of Ginga, as opposed to it just being a Ryoma centric thing. And again, I hate to harp on that, but keep in mind I'm watching Anthony, did you want to add anything?
Hey, I'm here. No, what I was gonna say was that can we just talk about how the fact that the emotion behind how they felt about him destroying about the monster destroying like the force just to get to them or whatever, and how they felt about it, that was pretty powerful stuff too.
Yeah,
As soon as I saw him like saw that bunny just up and die, I was like, kill this man needs to die. He needs to die.
Yeah, that's and I don't know why. Like, I mean, I don't see like they could have done that thing in Lost Galaxy because that thing is in Lost Galaxy, but it's only for like 2 seconds, and there's no like emotion to show like the Galaxy Rangers get legitimately like torn up over that. I feel like if you inserted that scene into Lost Galaxy, maybe it wouldn't have made as much sense given that their feelings toward the Ginga light being like so destructive that it could destroy nature and all that. It wouldn't feel as in place with Lost Galaxy because this is more of a nature themed Sentai, so it feels much more in place, but it would have been a bit more powerful. But that scene where like they're all like torn up by Dodo Musha trying to destroy the Earth with the Gingamites. Like that is what made their scene, what made it so satisfying with them getting the Gingalite.
Yeah, definitely.
And speaking of which, what do we think about the Gingalite power up as the first Super Sentai regular power up form?
I actually think that they did this one well. It's not overbearing. It's not like gaudy or ugly. It's very minor in terms of like design upgrade. So
Yep.
it's probably one of the better looking ones in my opinion, aside from like maybe SPD SWAT or whatever they called it.
Yeah, swap mode.
Swap
Yeah.
mode. Swap mode.
So I thought it was
I like it too.
Yeah, I might rank this in my top 10. Like my number one, I'm not sure what I would call my number one. I definitely like I'm a huge fan of the Mystic Legend, Magi Legend power up form that they have. But for the first one, I mean, they're trying to keep it simple enough, and I like it. Plus, those claws that they get on their left hand are pretty badass.
Yeah.
But what do we want to give this one out of 10, guys?
9.
9.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 9 too.
The 10 is
9.
coming though.
Yeah. All right, so now we get chapter 24, Budo's Tenacity. Pretty much this whole episode is all about Budo trying to retrieve. So this is basically an epilogue and conclusion to the whole Gingalite story arc, where basically Budo wants to try and retrieve the Gingalites from the Gingaman so that he can restore his honor. Ilis gets appointed as the new field commander of the Balban by Bucrates recommends her, because that's not nepotism at all now, is it? But Budo actually learns that Medu framed him, and he actually destroys her. Believe it or not, apparently I read this online. So that scene is not in Lost Galaxy whatsoever, which is another reason why the whole Lost Galaxy thing just annoys me, because in Lost Galaxy, the monster, she's called Impostra in Lost Galaxy, she says, "Don't think you won yet, I'll be back." And she never came back. She just disappears. No one sees her.
Never come back.
Apparently, the scene of Tretcheron destroying her was supposed to be in the Lost Galaxy episode, but they had to cut it due to time constraints, which... What? Of all the scenes that you have to cut, why would you cut that? That's an essential part of the plot of the episode. I mean, but yeah, so he destroys her, and he realizes that the Balban has abandoned him, and he has nothing left but to fight for the death, and he gets killed in a vicious one-on-one battle with Ryuma. This episode reveals that the Gingaman can only activate the Gingalites if they're together, because there's 5 pieces of the Gingalite. Each of them, hold it, so they can't activate it unless they're all together. But they can also use the Gingalites to power up Gingayo with its own radiant armor, so that's pretty cool. And this episode ends on a cliffhanger where Bull Black, who does not appear until the final 5 seconds of this episode, he's still in pain, but he vows, I might be falling apart and I might be dying soon, but I'm going to destroy the Balban no matter what happens. That's going to lead into the next episode, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. What do we think about chapter 24, guys?
I agree mostly with what Riz has said about Budo up to this point, because he's been very, I guess, compared to Sambash, not very proactive as a villain.
Yeah.
But I like his role in this episode, where he's trying to uphold his honor because he still thinks that Captain Zahab would understand his, would like respect him trying to go after the Gingalites. And then when he's basically told, even though it was a lie, that they had cut him off, you see him like snap and basically throw his morals out the window and goes crazy. It's actually a really cool approach to him on his way out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his death, for all the crap I've given Budo, I actually liked it.
Yeah.
Same. I was gonna say, Riz, are you happy now? He's gone. You happy now?
Talk to me in the next batch when we get more on this new general we have, because I don't know how I feel about her yet.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll hate her. Not because she's a
Mm.
badly written character, but because her personality irritates me.
Yeah.
This is why I said talk to me in the next batch, because I don't know. I think she does bug me. I just haven't.
Yeah, she's very
So, I
annoying.
mean, no, Anthony, I'm not happy because
I
they're
remember.
still sucking at being a villain.
But like I said, I still.
You're just a hard critic. That's really what it is. You're just a hard
But
critic,
like
really.
I said, I still love how they include that part where he destroys the monster that like insult. I mean, and I hate that I'm harping on that, but again, like you just cut that out of the Lost Galaxy episode and just even after you like give us like the suspense of like that monster saying I'll be back and she's never back, like why do people think that Lost Galaxy is such an amazing season when they have moments like that? Like
I've been asking that question for a long time, man.
Yeah,
like we said, it's really Drakina and mostly the my majority of the Lost Galaxy team is what keeps people liking it so much. There are a few hiccups, but I don't think that's like it's not. You can't ignore all the bad stuff that is in the show.
My answer to you is, hey, that song in Lost Galaxy slaps.
Yeah, that's fair.
And plus, that the team up with is Space Rangers, so that's probably why.
I mean, okay,
Yeah.
that's the only that's the best team up of all time. So that's an unfair statement to say, oh, we like it because of the team up. No, the team up is genuinely one of the best in the series.
I mean, the best one is the Time Force and Wild Force team up, but still.
Yet having Wild Force as a part of it kind of docks some points.
Okay, fair enough.
I know that is petty, but I don't care.
I still like team up though.
That wasn't my answer, honestly, Patrick.
Really?
It wasn't because it's the Wild Force cast. It's because I just thought I liked the way they handled the crossover in Galaxy better. I mean, Kendrick's dying, that's a huge deal.
Yeah,
totally.
it also reinforced how dangerous the Psycho Rangers were.
Right, so...
Man, the Psycho Rangers were terrifying in that two-part.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the Wild Force Rangers are not the best of the best in terms of teams, but they're not the reason I don't like them as much in this team-up compared to the other team-up. It's genuinely just because the other team-up is just eons better.
Well, what do we want to give a 24 out of 10, guys?
An 8. It's a little bit more laid back, but it's still good.
Yeah, 8 is for me.
Also, I love the armor shine Gingayo. The crown on his head makes him look awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish that... Well, actually, no. I mean, technically in later seasons when they get more power-ups, the power-up doesn't let them upgrade their mech, but they get mechs with that power-up. Like when they get swap mode in Deca Ranger, they get Deca Wing Robo, and when they get the Legend mode in Magi Ranger, they get Magi Legend or the Manticore Megazord. So, but yeah, I kind of wish that like with some of those other power-ups, like for example, when they use a Super Dino mode in a Dino Thunder, maybe that could upgrade the Thundersaurus. I don't know. Just the idea of a power-up being able to upgrade the mech is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the end of the Black Knight's story arc, chapter 25, the Black Knight's determination. Pretty much, Bull Black has nothing left to lose. He can't get the Lights of Ginga anymore, so he has nothing left to lose, and he's basically setting his sights on getting his revenge no matter what. And so how is he going to get his revenge? Well, he's going to destroy the Earth so that he can take the Balban down with it. This guy is insane. And just saying so. So he approaches Gotaurus and he says, yeah, we're going to destroy the Earth. And then Gotorus protests, saying like, dude, like, doesn't that make us just as bad as the Balban? And then Black is all like, no, I have nothing left but my revenge, so I'm going to do this, damn it. And so using Black attempts to overload this crater with energy into the Earth's core, and it's going to cause the Earth's core to expand and explode. But it ends up failing because Gotorus refuses to go through with the plan, and he ejects Black, abandoning him. And with Black weakening, like his body is literally falling apart. Ryuma takes him to safety while the latest Eyeless's monster is trying to collect this energy in his spear, this hate energy to revive Titanics. And Ryuma learns from Black that way back in chapter 1, when Hyuga fell into the earth, Black, who was struggling to live for 3,000 years, he was there when Hyuga fell in, and he absorbed Hyuga's body, and he used Hyuga's earth power to revive himself. And Hyuga will be released if he's killed, but Ryuma refuses because he basically is like, well, Hyuga wouldn't be happy if I took someone else's life to save him. So that happens, and after the Gingaman defeat the latest of Eyeless's monsters, the crater soon starts to reach critical levels. Black is content to watch the Earth be destroyed, but then Kranz appears to him in a vision and urges his older brother to fight and protect the planet, claiming he still has something to fight for. And motivated by that, motivated by his brother's last wish, Black traps the Gingaman in a force field with his sword. He dives into the crater to absorb the energy that would have basically all of the energy that would have exploded and destroyed the Earth. He absorbs it, and it kills him, but it saves the Earth. And the episode ends as Hyuga was released from Black's body just before his sacrifice. Hyuga appears, and we get a very tearful reunion. And I do mean tearful because this is a very tear-jerking scene. And that's how the episode ends. So what do we think about this one, guys?
This episode hits so hard at the end because it's clear how much they love Hyuga. And, it's not like just a comrade. It's literally the brother of Goki, Hayate, Hikaru, probably Saya's boyfriend or fiance or something more than friends. I don't know what.
Yeah, totally.
I need more information on this relationship, to be honest with y'all. And just seeing Ryoma see his brother and the way he's frozen in time, can't move, speaks volumes about what he'd been going through. Because when he sees him, it's a sense of relief of, my brother is back. Wait, my brother is back. He's back. I don't need to do this anymore, or maybe I still have to do it. I don't know. Like, he's going through all this different stuff now, wondering what happens to him being Ginga Red, but also he's just happy to see his brother again. So, two very vicious things going on in his brain, and he has to process them both at the same time. And that's all communicated without a single word.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did that really well. I mean, they communicated Saya and his relationship without a single word. They communicated all the reactions without a single word. And I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah. When I got done watching this episode the second time for this, like, the final little bit with Black, I found it poetic because they both lost a brother to the Balban, and Black had kind of lost his way, even to the point where Taurus was like, I'm done with this. So he sees his brother walk up, and it makes him remember what he was before, that he'd almost basically betrayed his promise to his little brother. And he makes this grueling sacrifice, and visually this scene is hard to watch with him like struggling to walk, and then it cuts to that scene of him and Krantz together, like,
Yeah.
you know, like having like that, bro, and then it cuts back to him struggling to walk again. Man, that visually was just so painful because like you can just see like the determination to make it up to his brother and to himself to save the planet, and he dies kind of to honor his brother by giving Ryoma his brother back. Like,
Yep.
it's poetic in a very depressing way. And it's so good,
Like, full circle.
man. Like, yeah, like it all came full circle. He lost his brother, so he gave up his own life to return to his brother to give Ryoma his brother back. Like, it is,
Yeah.
like, I had to stop myself from crying a little bit at this because this episode was like the final 5 or so minutes of this episode was heavy.
Yeah.
But man, it's so good. This is the episode I was saving my 10 for because this episode is incredible.
Yeah.
And I love how well it's paced too. And I don't want to badmouth the Lost Galaxy episode too much here because the Lost Galaxy episode is also pretty good. I actually think it's the best episode of Lost Galaxy.
Oh no, it is by far.
But I feel like this episode is paced a little bit better because, like, we see Bull Black struggle right from the beginning of the episode. Like, he goes up to Go Taurus and says, "Hey, we're going to go and destroy the planet." And then Go Taurus is all like, "Dude, doesn't that make us just as bad as them? Like, can't we just go back to the way things were?" And then Bull Black has his little flashback. So right from the starting gate, he's under pressure. And it builds up and up and up until we get to that point where he finally sees Krantz, as opposed to in the Lost Galaxy episode where Magna Defender doesn't start like rethinking what he's doing until after Leo backs down from wanting to kill him. And it's still paced really good. Like, the scenes with Magna Defender and Zika are still very emotional, but I just feel like the pacing right from the beginning of Bull Black's eventual redemption is handled so much better here.
Yeah. It is, most definitely.
And it's also great. I feel like, Ryoma's little moment, where he refuses to kill Bull Black is also great for his character. Like, he has an opportunity to be reunited with his brother right there. All he has to do is kill this guy who has been a jerk to him his whole life. So he probably could kill Bull Black. He could give some mental justification on why he should kill him, but he doesn't do it because he knows Hugo wouldn't like it. And that one part where, like, Ryoma puts his sword away and then runs away, but he's like clenching his fist almost as if like, I could have my brother back. I really want to do that, but I can't. Like, I don't know why they didn't include that in the Lost Galaxy episode. That's another brief but powerful moment for Ryoma's character development.
Yeah.
Because you can see
it's really odd that they decided to go with. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say was that it's really weird that they decided to make Mad Defender's kid not be his brother.
Yeah.
Do they feel like that was like more like maybe if parents were watching this, they kind of would relate to Mad Defender 2 in a way that makes sense? I don't know.
I could see that being the reason.
But
I mean, honestly, both are valid to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just to add to a little bit more of the emotion with this episode, that part where like Go Taurus is trying to join Bull Black at the end, and then Bull Black says, "No, we you should go find friends that'll help you protect this planet." I'm feeling sorry for a giant bull. Like, there is emotion with like Go Taurus after Bull Black dies. Like, again, this is something that Jew Ranger could have done with humanizing the mechs, but they didn't do it!
I was just about to say the same freaking thing.
And the one time that you did do it, you undermine it by having Geki be a jerk to Dragon Caesar.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to get that out.
Good.
Jeez,
Feel the
Nathan, tell
evil
us how you really
growing
feel.
inside of you. I could be
Let the hate flow
Emperor
through you.
Palpatine right now. You let the hate flow
I think my
through
face
you.
was turning red
Because
when I said
I'm
that.
here for this.
Your face normally turns red when you get
I'm
upset,
here for
but
the Zoo Ranger slander. I support the Zoo Ranger slander.
But yeah, I gave the Lost Galaxy episode a 10 out of 10. It's the best episode, and if there was a way for me to give this episode more than a 10, I would give it a more than a 10. But I give it a 10.
yeah.
Everybody else?
I already said I gave it a 10.
Okay, cool.
10 out of 10.
And Riz?
I already said 10 out of 10. What more do you want
Okay.
from me?
Okay. Well, that's
I mean,
cool.
I could give it an 11 if you want. Jeez.
I'd love to give it an 11, but yeah, I'm sticking to the 10 out of 10 stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap up this with chapter 26, Brothers of Flame. So, pretty much Hyuga is back, and he's returned, and he starts living with the Gingamen down at the at the horse club. And most of this episode, the Gingamen are kind of concerned over what this means for Ryuma as Ginga Red. Hyuga gets given a new garb to wear. It's made as a tribute to Bull Black by Saya. And, they honor Bull Black for saving Hyuga and his heroic sacrifice. Basically, everyone is afraid that Ryuma is going to try to return his Seijuu to Hyuga because Hyuga was originally chosen as Ginga Red. Then the other Gingamen get captured by Elis's monster of the day. And when Ryuma and Hyuga rush to save the others, Ryuma speaks up to Hyuga, and he basically says, at first, I would have wanted to give you the sword at first, but now I'm really confident that I can be a really good Ginga Red, and that's why I'm humbly requesting you to let me stay as Ginga Red. And Hyuga happily honors his brother's request. Well, he uses the Seijuu to take out one soldier so that he can have one last battle with it. Then he honors his brother's request and says he would have refused to take it back if Ryuma offered. So Ryuma stays as Ginga Red. And then during the mech battle, as the Gingamen are cornered, with Gingayo, the Bull Riot, that's Bull Black's sword, it appears to Hyuga, and Bull Black speaks to Hyuga through his sword and basically tells Hyuga to take on his power, become the new Black Knight, so that he can continue on with the mission that Bull Black started in the previous episode, which is to protect Earth. So Hyuga becomes Bull Black. He's able to use the Bull Riot. In Lost Galaxy, Mike got a morpher that was basically a recolored version of the Aura Changer from Die Ranger to transform. Here, there's no morpher. Hyuga just uses the Bull Riot to transform. He's able to become the Black Knight himself, so he has basically become the sixth ranger for the Gingamen. He's able to command Go Taurus. He defeats the monster, and the episode ends with, everybody celebrating like Hyuga is the Black Knight, and Ryuma is still Ginga Red. And yeah, that wraps up our episode. So what do we think about this episode, guys?
I will start off by saying I know I gave it a 10 last time, but I'm really on the cusp of giving another 10 here. Because the moment with Hyuga and Ryuma is extremely emotionally charged and really powerful. Just all the culmination I've been talking about for the last couple of podcasts about Ryuma's guilt, Ryuma's feelings of inadequacy, Ryuma's feelings of why am I doing this? How can I do this? All those different feelings culminate here because he's face to face with the guy who put him in this position, kind of. Because his brother was going to be Ginga Red, then he fell, so he took it over, and he was like, I can't do this. Why am I the one here instead of you? And he's trying to give back the power to him, saying, hey, you're the OG one. You should have this power. And he's like, yo, bro, no. you've grown a lot this year, and it's time for you to just accept you're Ginga Red and I'm not.
Yeah.
And that moment is extremely powerful. And it makes me ignore all the crap of what the villains in this episode, because I don't remember a thing they do or say besides the fact that the villains trap the other four in a mirror.
Yeah.
That's all they do. They're in a mirror. Done.
Yeah, like
But
the
I
scene,
think that. Go ahead, Patrick.
the part that really hit me was when he said, like he said, where he was like, I was questioning if I should give this back to you, but I've decided that I can't because I know that I'm capable of protecting the Earth. You know, like that was a great line from Ryoma. And then that scene where Hyuga has the sword, he, kills the Reaper thing or whatever the heck that was, and then turns to Ryoma and says, "This is the last time I'm ever using this saber." Like, not only is he like eager, but he's glad that Ryoma is confident in himself now. Like I said, going like when I said earlier, I'm a big brother. It's like empowering when you see your little brother realize that he he accomplished something, or he sees himself as something better than he did before and stuff. So that was a really strong moment for me, just like from a relatable standpoint.
And see, like, when we were doing like the tier listings for the Red Rangers on Power Rangers, it's moments like this that like kind of really made Leo lose stock for me, while Ryoma with this, because in the Lost Galaxy episode, Leo like literally tries to give the saber to Mike, and like he doubles down on this, that like Mike pulled the saber from the stone, not me, and he needs reassurance from Mike that he's the Red Ranger, and Mike has to like request it when Leo actively tries to give it to him. With Ryoma, it shows, especially with everything he just went through with Bull Black, that he really has grown to the point where obviously he respects his brother, and if his brother wanted the sword, he would give it to him, but he's still standing up. And it's kind of, and I have a feeling that this is where they were inspired from it. It's like in the Gokaiger Gingaman tribute episode where
I was just thinking of this. Yeah.
Where Hyuga asks Guy for his Gokai Cellular so that he can become Gokai Silver, and then Guy says, "No, I want to be Gokai Silver. It's my dream. I really need to be Gokai Silver." And it takes so much courage for him to stand up to Hyuga because he looks up to Hyuga. It's similar, except it's a bit more powerful since these two are brothers. For Ryoma to like have to stand up to him. Well, not stand up to him, but just voice his confidence and say, I feel like I can be a really good Gingaman. That just shows how much he's grown, as opposed to Leo, where, not to undermine Leo's arc, but there's something so much more powerful that Ryoma has confidence that he can be a good Red Ranger after everything that he's gone through, as opposed to Leo, where even after all that, he still needs reassurance from Mike that he's the true Red Ranger. I mean, that's good, but to see how confident Ryoma has become at this point, that's just way more powerful.
Big facts.
You want to add anything, Anthony?
I just want to say that they did a really good job describing how Ryoma feels about, it's like he has that, yeah, I'm glad I have my brother back, but now I have to deal with the fact of, do I give up my powers for so that you can become the rightful ownership of Giga Red, or do I just keep doing my thing, but have my brother not get what he truly deserved, honestly? That's his dilemma.
It's like the ultimate test of his character up to this point, and it's great. Like, I forgot just how good of a character Ryoma was from my first watch through of this season.
Yeah.
Like, he was one of my favorite Red Sentai Rangers before, but rewatching this season, man, he's like up there with Takaru for me. Like, is like maybe like number 2. It's insane how good of a.
he's definitely up there, and I think part of why he's so far up there for all of us, Pat, is he's not your typical Red, in my opinion.
Yeah, because we talked about that in our first one where we were just talking about Boone Red and how unusual he was for a Red. And I said Ryoma was essentially the same way, where he's not your orthodox Red. And it makes him very memorable because he's a troubled man, a very troubled man who goes through one heck of a story arc.
Yeah. No, I mean, I notice it's a very different comparison, and they're nothing alike. But when you have a Red like him that's so different from the mold, and another one like that is Boone Red, that guy is also very different from the mold.
Yeah.
Like, these guys stick out in a good way, in my opinion, because they bring something to the table that you don't see very often. I mean, look at Geki, look at
Ryu
Ryu
from
for
Jetman.
yeah. I was trying to remember his name. I was like, what's his name again? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you were to ask me to describe Geki and Ryu, I'd probably say Geki is the stupider version of Ryu, but they're basically the same personality. Minus the fact that he told Dragonstar to suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I wanted to mention this earlier, but I forgot, and then we moved on to the next episode. But when Bull Black is like mourning the loss of Black Knight, he's not told to suck it up. He's told, "Hey, go make some new friends. It'll be okay. You can keep going on. You can keep fighting. You don't need me."
And they give a little moment at the beginning of this episode to like show Go Taurus mourning Bull Black's death before he befriends Hyuga. It's a brief moment, but it's still good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while we're on that, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like Hyuga becoming Black Knight also just feels a bit more powerful than it does in Lost Galaxy, because they make a really big deal about how Bull Black's like it just feels much more powerful in the previous episode where like Kronz's last wish was for Bull Black to continue on his life as like fighting as a warrior to protect people, and he did that, but now he wants to continue to let his powers be used for that type of purpose, so he's giving it to Hyuga. It just feels a lot more well earned, especially with how much they emphasized that in the previous episode for him becoming Black Knight. Not to say that it wasn't great in Lost Galaxy, it's just it feels a lot more powerful. Like there's a purpose for him becoming Black Knight, as opposed to Lost Galaxy, where I mean Magna Defender says it's time to finish what we began, and it's like, I mean, what did you begin? I mean, you're gonna like help fight for like a space colony when you could be fighting to protect other planets. Like, I don't know. It feels a lot more powerful here in Lost Galaxy. I mean, in Gingaman.
Yeah.
And I know, but I gave the previous episode a 10. But honestly, like Ryoma's big moment there, I'm gonna give 2 10s in a row. I really want to.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you, because I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, same here.
Like I was kind of scared. I was gonna be only giving it a 10, and you guys all be like
No.
9.5. I'm like, damn.
No,
This is
we
this
were on the
episode
same
is
page.
This is Ryoma's defining character moment. Like, this is 10 worthy.
It is, and like I don't know. To me, when I think back on Lost Galaxy, which again, like I said for many other Power Ranger seasons, it's been 8 or 9 or 10 years since I watched it, and thinking back on Lost Galaxy today, I can't say I remember a lot of Mike post becoming a Magna Defender in terms of defining character moments, episodes where he really showed up and did something. In fact, this might be a false memory, but I don't even remember Mike being present in many of the battles after becoming Magna Defender.
He wasn't.
He was kind of sparsely around. Yeah, okay, so, I don't know if he was going to be kind of the same way, like he's around every now and then, but
I don't think that'll be the case.
You'll see why in
You'll
later
see. You'll
episodes.
see.
It's gonna be handled well, though, at least in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as they handle it well, that's fine. Because with Mike,
Yeah.
it felt like Tommy 2.0. Like, oh, hey, my communicator's in my bag. I can't help you guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair,
We even
as
have
far as,
that.
like,
We even have that. He just wasn't there.
that's what makes it really bad. And I guess to be fair, like, they were like a lot of the episodes where he wasn't showing up, they were adapting like episodes that came out earlier, like during like the Saint Dash arc. So you can't have Mike show up to be the Magna Defender Bear, but yeah, I mean, it's still kind of annoying how he just isn't there with no explanation.
Right. And so it kind of bugged me when I realized how amazing this character really is because, you know, the Magna Defender has always been kind of like he has a really cool suit. But other than that, I mean, But here, Hyoga and Black Knight, they both bring something to this that make me think, okay, Black Knight is probably one of my favorite anti-hero type characters now in the Sentai world.
Yeah.
But Hyoga just is a cool character that you can't hate. I mean, he would be the kind of guy that I could sit down with and he would laugh at all my puns. It'd be great.
Oh yeah, I
Literally.
forgot he laughs at all those stupid dad jokes in this episode.
Yeah.
The mighty warrior Hyuga has that pathetic of a sense of humor.
Look, man, me, him, and No-san need to go to a bar and hang out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be
God.
hilarious.
Joke like,
No
like, hey,
son would
Hyuga.
kill Hyuga.
Like, hey, Hyuga, you know what sucks? I only know 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why. And then Hyuga will be like, for like 5 minutes or something. Like, but anyway, yeah, I know that was a stupid dad joke. I know, but
I'm proud of you.
But yeah, so for the analysis, so we don't have to talk about villains because we kind of got sidetracked on 18. We've already done our villain analysis here.
Just good.
So I know, but I have listed on the outline that I wanted to do the character rankings, but we kind of decided that we're going to change that for this one, where we're just going to say like what tiers do each of these people belong to. Now, if you want to put Hyuga in there, you can, but we don't really have to include Hyuga until the next one since he's only been back for like 2 episodes.
Yeah,
So, I'll wait for him.
Yeah.
But at least do it for the main 5. So, yeah, whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
I'll start off as the newcomer to the Sentai.
Go for it.
Ryoma's S tier. Hayate is an A tier. Goki, I want to say S tier, but I don't know yet. He's definitely climbing into S tier territory, but I need more out of him. Like, other than that stupid tomato episode.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he hasn't really had much. The problem with most of the not side characters, like the other characters that are not red, they haven't really had a lot of focus episodes since the last batch we did. In my opinion, like, there hasn't been too much development there. So yeah, Goku's an A right now. Hikaru is an. I still like Hikaru a lot, but he's definitely not like my top 2 anymore, like he was in the previous set. He's kind of dropping into that B tier a little bit in terms of like he's still a great character, but he has like a one-track thing. Like he's just always rude, and like I want him to do something more.
That's kind of why we all, like me and Nate,
did not like him. Like,
yeah, because
I mean,
he does have good moments to him, but he doesn't really show his. He doesn't really show his character development very well.
No, like he hasn't really evolved from episode 1. Like,
no, and
Goki
get used to that.
Goki and Saya have evolved really well, in my opinion. Hayate bugged me a lot because all of his development comes from honey and tomatoes, and that honestly, thinking back on that fact, I kind of want to put Hayate down to B tier for the moment. He may rise back up again, but Hayate B tier, Ryoma S tier, Goki A tier, Hikaru B tier, and Saya S tier. Saya is the new Kotoha for this group. I don't care what you guys tell me. I will fight you.
There it is.
I would probably put Ryoma and Goki in S, and then everyone else in A. I mean, that's simple and to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Ryoma's always an S. I'd say really kind of disappointed me this like with his whole honey and tomato thing. So he's gonna get an A. He would have got. I don't know if he I was close to giving a B. He was literally this close to getting a B if they just did more stupid stuff with him or whatever. Um, Goki is also an A. Saya is an A, and I'm gonna give Hikaru a B because he kind of disappointed me this arc too. He just needed to stop being so rude and like it's one thing to be hot headed. Is this is why you the way when you had explained try to ask me this Riz about because with Shiaki does not go off on people for no reason. He's more of a if you mess with him, he'll mess with you back. That's his ordeal. And you should never compare Kyrie to Shiaki because that's they are miles
Okay,
apart from each other.
but also remember, I made that comment based off the first 10 episodes.
I understand that. It's just like
You have seen the whole series, so you have foreknowledge that I don't have. Therefore,
what's,
I can't be held accountable for the future actions of episodes that I haven't seen yet.
what's the thing is though is that like I kind of remember much. I do remember some things. Like I said, I haven't watched Gingaman in like forever. But I
Yeah.
remember watching the whole entire series. I do remember that. I have watched this before. But I just don't remember. There's some things I don't remember from it.
Yeah.
And Nate?
I'm gonna put Ryoma in S. I mean, the only red that I think is probably better than him is probably Takeru. I mean, I do think he's better than Marvelous, just from his.
Then be fighting words around these parts, my friend.
Yeah, okay, but Hayate is A. He didn't really do anything to like ruin his stock, but he didn't do anything to boost it.
Really, the tomatoes didn't ruin the stock for you? Because those tomatoes are pretty rotten to him.
Okay. Okay, that was pretty bad, but whatever. Goki is S for me. I mean, he's just a lovable guy. He's just a lovable doofus, and he made that tomato episode tolerable. And I mean, even just with like some like advanced knowledge that I know, I can't help but just rank him any lower than S. Hikaru, I'm gonna put it B. I mean, which is better because I had him at a D tier at one point, but he's he's doing okay. And Saya, yeah, I mean, the whole thing with like her, having a romance with Hyuga, that is something I genuinely forgot about, and I'm half tempted to probably say that she's probably the only S tier. Well, okay, at some point, Mira from Boom Boom Girl will probably be an S tier pink, but at least until that happens, Saya might be the only S tier pink that I'm looking at because there's A tier pinks there, but Saya is an S tier pink for me.
And I will just add on to, beat the dead horse. Saya's romance, even though it's in the infancy right now, and we haven't really seen much of it yet, it's still better than what we got in Time Ranger with Yuri and crap.
Tatsuya.
Tatsuya, yeah.
I mean, fair enough.
So, yeah.
But with this podcast, we are officially at the halfway mark for Gingaman. Do we have any closing thoughts before we wrap up here, guys? Especially for Riz.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that ranking I gave last time about the top 3, top 5 debacle of where I put this.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I think about it, I think my ranking would probably end up, as of the halfway point, it would be Gokai, King, Senkenzer, then this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the characters in Gingaman
can go head to head with Shinkenzer, and there's like a lot of back and forth of like, okay, well maybe I think Rion was a better red than Takaru, but I might say that Chiaki is better than Hikaru. I might say that Saya is better than
Mako.
Right. And so Hikaru and Kota, I'm not going to bother comparing Kota how wins. So I mean, and Goki, in my opinion, I know Patrick's going to disagree. It's better than Ryunosuke to me.
No, I agree with that.
Okay. I thought you'd be like a staunch believer of Ryunosuke being better.
Like I love Ryunosuke, but Goki is Goki. I mean,
Yeah.
Goki's out of all of the Sentais I've watched, the only blue that I think is on par with him outside of Yanma is probably Mega Blue. But I just like the Mega Ranger cast as a whole in general.
Yeah. No, but that's my current thoughts right now. Is that it's not top 3 just yet. There's still some stuff that hold it back because I think the Shinkenzer plot is very, very awesome.
Yep.
I think that's partly because while most of the villains in Shinkenzer are not the best, at least we had a better adversary for the Rangers with Zuzo. And that helped the story out of it more than I was expecting it to. I didn't think that'd be a deciding factor for me, but Zuzo's story arc with Takaru really did help a lot. And I think, I'm not saying Gingaman's bad by any means. It has a great story as well because the Black Knigth stuff is amazing, but I just think that Shinkenzer might have had some better points on that.
But anybody else, Anthony or Patrick?
It's a lot better than I remember it.
I'm like, you go ahead.
Saying I loved it my first time through, and halfway through my second watch through, it's better than I remember. Like it's, especially now that I have Shinkenzer refresh on my mind again, and having seen Time Ranger with the seasons that she's written, I appreciate the season a lot more than I did my first time through. Like she knows how to write characters.
Yep. Anybody else want to add anything?
Well, I'm just looking forward to like the next arc. Is like it starts getting really good. I don't think is this gonna be the patch book? What happens? I can't remember. I have to go back and see.
I think the next stuff is what, Ginga Rhino and Ginga Phoenix. I think is the next thing. So
one other closing thought. I love that we're halfway through the season, and we haven't had any auxiliary mechs, minus like Bull Black, but that's a whole different mech.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
auxiliary mechs didn't really become a thing until Gal Ranger, though.
No, but I mean, like even Time Ranger had like the different modes for its main mech.
Fair enough.
And that was enough to bug me because I didn't, even in Time Force, I didn't like the fact that you could switch it out so much. Because it gets confusing on like, okay, what's the different modes? What do they all mean? This is simple. You don't need 20 different combinations or like 25 different Zords. You can do Gal Ranger to be a good Sentai with a good mech. These mechs genuinely on their own are fine.
There was a few instances during these episodes where each of the Star Beasts fought independently again. Like, I'm glad that they still have moments like that.
Yeah, I mean, that helped a lot. So, yeah.
But anybody else got anything to say?
Nope, I'm out of things to say.
Nope.
All right, cool.
Same here.
Well, that wraps up this podcast, guys. We are now officially, just a little over halfway into Gingaman. We hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are. And next time when we return to Gingaman, we'll be covering chapters 27 to 38. Since 37 and 38 are a two-parter, and we hope you guys will catch us for that podcast. We thank you guys for listening to us, and bye for now. If you enjoyed listening to the Toku Secrets podcast, please check us out at animesecrets.org and follow us on all our social media pages such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also feel free to check out our other podcasts, including Anime Declassified and the Jedi Squadron. You can also leave us any feedback you'd like to offer us directly on our website. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, we thank you so much, and please leave us a rating out of 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and leave any comments down below, as we love to take the time to read comments left on our channel and give our fans, shout-outs. If you have any seasons of Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or other Tokusatsu shows that you'd like for us to check out, please don't hesitate to say so in your feedback. With all that said, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we will see you next time as we continue our never-ending journey through the world of Tokusatsu. But until that time, you all stay safe, we love you, and may the power protect you.